When I started writing a rhetoric, I knew there had to be some certain unique features that it needed in order to be relevant to modern kids. One of those was an element of writing and speaking together. So we have in Writing and Rhetoric several places where the spoken word becomes critical to the writing process. So speaking and writing, they really work hand in hand to make for a good writer. I mean, who likes to go into an empty room and brainstorm an idea to write? And that's, I think, what a lot of writing curricula ask a student to do. You go into this empty, sterile place, a blank page, and you're supposed to fill in that space with profound ideas, beautifully rendered. And what really happens is you're sending a kid into almost an impossible situation. So the one thing I wanted for Writing and Rhetoric right up front was a way to talk through ideas. So you would be exposed to a story, an interesting story, something that would capture your imagination. And then immediately following on the heels of that, you would narrate it so it would sink into your memory, your long-term memory. And then following that, you would actually have a classroom conversation about some of the ideas in these stories. And so the element of speaking becomes a vital part of invention. When the student sits down in the seat and has a blank page that they need to fill, they've already been there, they've already thought it through in speaking to their teacher or speaking to classmates. And then at the tail end of that too, it was very important that students and they did this in the ancient world as well, students would read aloud their papers, they would read aloud their speeches, whatever they happen to be working on. And the rest of the class or the teacher would be giving feedback on how to improve the paper. So speaking is a part of the brainstorming process as well as the revisional process, and they're both important. It bookends the whole process of writing. So that's one thing I really wanted for it. The other thing I love about the Pro-Gym is that it has forms of writing for sure, outlines sort of made in advance so that students can succeed in writing. But some people might say, oh, that's pretty rote, or that's not very imaginative to have pre-made forms for the students to fill in. But the form of a sonnet never stopped Keats or Shelley from writing beautiful poems. Iambic pentameter never stopped Milton or Shakespeare from being incredibly creative people. So within the form of the Pro-Gym, you can be as creative as you want, and students are, in fact. So the form itself helps you to release your creativity, where if you're just given something without an outline, until you are a very confident writer, you go into writing a paper without an outline, without a purpose, you're going to struggle. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many young people entering at a college level can't write. I could be disparaging and say they can't write their way out of a paper bag, but it's really not their fault. It's a fundamental flaw in how we're schooling young people.